I am a trans exclusionary, radical feminist, exclusionary feminist.
a, a,
A
a
turfif.
turf, a
I'm
turf.
a turfif.
It's a thing. Look it up, you guys.
Oh, hey! Welcome to Cauldron Her Daddy, a podcast about sex, magic, astrology, and whatever else Meredith and I want to talk about. And today, we're going to talk about J.K. Rowling because we love ethical shit talk. But before we get into it, I'm Sarai Johnson. I am a somatic sexologist and witch.
And I am Meredith Holly, an astrologer, human design reader, and witch. And I'm excited to talk about J.K. Rowling, who writes about witches and has turned into something of a monster. So,
Was she a monster all along and we just realized it over time, or did she become a monster somewhere along the way?
listen, the word witch is an interesting one because I think of it as a compliment. And yet sometimes there are people where you're like, oh, I get why this is used as a derogatory term because, oops,
I'm sorry about the cackle, the full witch cackle I just did. I can't help it. That's just how I laugh now that I'm a witch.
especially on an ethical shit talk episode, you have to cackle a lot.
Have to.
Okay, so I read the Harry Potter books starting in my freshman year of college in 1999 because my beloved niece Kayla was obsessed with them. And she's like a young millennial, and I'm like an elder millennial. So we span the millennial Harry Potter
You guys
spectrum,
are
you know?
millennial slash Harry Potter bookends. I do think that we should, if the other title for the millennial generation could be the Harry Potter generation,
Yes,
that does feel true.
correct.
I'm a
So,
muggle. I just, for everyone listening, I'm a what's called a muggle. That is one thing I know. That's about the only thing I know about this, besides everything else that's in the zeitgeist. Haven't watched a movie, haven't read a book. I'm a Harry Potter virgin, if you believe in the concept of virginity, which I don't.
you are not a muggle because you're an actual witch. However, as far as the Harry Potter zeitgeist goes, we are going to tell you what is this all about. So, J.K. Rowling is an author and also a human who believes that cisgendered women get to decide what gender people are. So this person believes that um, a quote unquote woman should not be forced to call a man a woman. So we're going to refer to this person by the pronouns that they seem to be drawn to, which is he, him. And I feel like I get to do that as a cisgendered woman, just under the rules of the dynamic. So originally, J.K. Rowling was in an abusive relationship, which absolute compassion for, like a violent marriage, had a daughter. He left the marriage and he moved with family and was quite destitute. According to some of his writing, um, there was sexual abuse in the marriage, like pretty dramatic, violent, total compassion for that situation. And having moved out of that house, wasn't making money, was relying on state resources, wrote the Harry Potter books, which were originally rejected by publishers. And one of the things that I was interested in when I first started reading the books is that J.K. Rowling's a person with a daughter and wrote a book about a witch who was a boy. And I thought it was like an interesting thing, um, just conceptually, to say eh, this generation needs another model who is a boy who finds out he's a witch. It's not like not okay or something. I just was curious about it.
Yeah.
And as you dig deeper into J.K. Rowling's background and the thinking, it becomes more interesting. J.K. Rowling was born Joanne, and people refer to him as Joe. When writing the book, there was a decision made to use the name J.K. instead of Joanne because the thought process was that young boys wouldn't be willing to read a book written under a name that was a woman's name.
Oh,
So,
because we're in Victorian times. And so every woman who's a writer needs a really great masculine pen name, is what I'm guessing.
and this person has always written under male pen names. The other pen name that he writes under is Robert Galbraith, which is the name of the person who invented conversion therapy.
Wait, I'm sorry. It's a different person, though.
Yeah,
Oh, God. But
it's an intentionally used name.
really?
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew. Okay, wait. I'm so confused about this pronoun situation. So we're referring to JK as he, him. Is this
I
to
decided
troll
it
him?
makes sense to you. Accessed gender affirming care to appear more feminine. So there's some gender confusion. Last year, I think it was 2025, he wrote a whole sort of article about how anti-trans he is
Yeah.
and why he's anti-trans. And one of the reasons that he says that he's anti-trans is he thinks if he had been allowed to in the 80s, he would have transitioned using every available means from he was assigned female at birth, and he says he would have transitioned to male because he was not comfortable in a female body. So
Okay. And so
I
what he's mad that he like missed an opportunity or something like that?
it wasn't totally clear from the article, but it
Huh.
sounded like he thought that he would have transitioned because being female is bad. He was trained to believe that being female is bad and powerless. It would have been an attempt to try to gain power to use a male identity, although he has used a male identity throughout his writing career. So, and that the attempt to use power or to shift power in that way is ultimately sexist and derogatory to women. So he doesn't think that women should be allowed to transition to being male because they should become more accepting that it's okay to be female.
Okay. So interesting.
Yeah. So one of the beloved things in the Harry Potter book is you have this kid who is being raised by his aunt and uncle and his terrible cousin, and he has to live in the closet because everybody hates him and he doesn't get any presents on his birthday and everything's terrible. And he finds out that he's magical and he's accepted into the wizarding world. Not only is he magical, he's the chosen one. And he's
Ooh.
the chosen one because he survived an attempted murder by the evil wizard. And he survived it because his mom loved him so much that her love shielded him magically. And so there is a really nice lesson around ultimately the love that we have for each other is the biggest magic that we have. We can do tricks and we can do spells that are like seem pretty, but love is the ultimate magic. So it has these really good messages. And then he becomes friends with Hermione, who's a wonderful character and the smartest kid in the class. And she's a girl who always asks questions. And with Ron, who is just a total loyal friend. And then they ultimately defeat evil over and over again through the strength of friendship. So it's a really fun story. Hermione's this great character that everybody, like every girl reading it was like, I'm allowed to ask questions in class like Hermione. Yay. And also they just have this nice friendship that is inspiring. And also, in retrospect, there's some problematic elements that are being highlighted by the upcoming HBO special being released in December of 2026, in which the race components of the book are highlighted in some uncomfy ways.
Ooh,
Do you want to hear
interesting.
about that, or do
I
you want
very
to
much
hear?
do. Oh,
Okay,
I'm a choose your own adventure right now. Okay, what's the
yeah.
other option? Ooh,
Okay, the other
okay.
option is the road where we go down the total turf
Mm.
anti-trans path that J.K. Rowling has walked down since publishing the books. So we can go down the story route right now, or we can go down the political route. What's your
Oh,
adventure?
wow. But we'll circle back to
Yeah.
all of these topics at some point. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Tell me, I feel like you were naturally leading into the race side of this.
Okay.
So I think let's go with that. Let's go with story
Okay.
time.
So in Harry Potter, there is a race of or a species of magical creature, and they are called house elves. They're enslaved by the wizarding community, and they have no control over how they um how they serve. They are only allowed to wear rags, and the more progressive wizards are against having house elves, but the more traditional wizards are in favor of it. Okay. That lays a foundation. And then Hermione becomes an advocate for house elf rights because she doesn't believe in slavery.
And as we
And,
know, Emma Watson did grow up to be a real feminist out there in the
correct.
world. Okay, go
And
on.
and anti-racist as far as I know.
Yeah.
In the meantime, within the storyline, there is a racial slur that gets used in the book that's a magical community racial slur called mudblood. And Hermione is a mudblood, and that's part of what aligns her to the house elf struggle. So a mudblood is somebody who is a witch but comes from a human ancestral line. And so it's like you have dirty blood.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, I'm going to there's another whole aspect that wouldn't be racist, but seems like it's going to become racist in the upcoming HBO special.
Mm.
So this already is a little bit of an uncomfy storyline because the house elf slavery kind of gets accepted. And even after they're freed more, they still work in the kitchens and stuff. There's not but they have more powerful magic than the wizarding community, but they don't embrace. It just gets a little weird.
Yeah.
So in the upcoming special, the Hermione character is played by a very incredibly cute young Latin girl. And so as you anticipate this girl being called a mudblood and being one of the only non-white characters in the show, you can kind of feel how that's gonna look, right?
Yeah.
Kind of weird. On top of that, the main villain that is ongoing throughout the books is Professor Snape. So, Professor Snape is just this mean professor who's always going after Harry Potter. He has a morally ambiguous kind of storyline. So, the backstory of him is that Harry Potter's father and Snape both were in love with Harry Potter's mom. Harry Potter's dad had a friend group who were bullies, basically. They had fun, but they also severely bullied Snape, including hanging him up in a tree at one point,
Hmm.
including at one point the dad saying, I don't know, it just bothers me that he exists. I don't know what's wrong with him. I'm just mad that he exists. In the upcoming special, this character will be played by a black man who is one of the only black characters in the show. So the whole story
Oh.
becomes racist. Like Harry Potter's
Wow.
dad and his friends are suddenly a KKK club.
I guess so, if they're trying to lynch him as a way of bullying. Oh, that's disturbing. What is the point? What is this all about? Why?
It's you know, when you read the memes and posts and stuff about it, it's so terrible because some people are like, "Oh, this story is becoming super racist all of a sudden," when it was explicitly two white people with each
Mhm.
other. Other people are like, um racistly mad that there's gonna now be a black teacher at the school. I don't know. It's like
Wow. So there's backlash from all sides.
it's
There are
and
bad people on many sides, is what we could really boil that down to.
it's yeah, it's just there's so much happening.
That's
Um
so weird. Is
and
this? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna
No,
say for this special, the was this casting influenced by or started by J.K.? Like,
okay, this is an interesting thing. John Lithgow is going to play Dumbledore. There's all these articles where John Lithgow's, I haven't even, where people are like, John Lithgow, how do you feel about the upcoming nightmare that you're going to be involved in? And so another interesting thing that kind of leads into the trans phobia problem is that, so Papa Essiedu is his name, is the actor who's playing Snape. He signed a trans rights advocacy petition. And so there was also, and a couple other actors did from the show. So people were like, JK Rowling, how do you feel about your actors coming out against this law that she helped get passed in the UK that defines woman as the assigned sex at birth? And she says, and John Lithgow said, and so people are asking John Lithgow about this too. And they're both like, she has no control over any of the casting. She has no involvement in the show at all. She has no decision making. And then in the meantime, the director and the producers have been like, she's very involved in every decision that ever gets made in the show. So it's now I think it's weirder than you first.
totally. Wow. Incredible. Incredible stuff. Amazing.
Yeah. So, okay, so that's the race component of the upcoming movie. And it just makes you be like, I wanted to keep liking these books. I'll go, or I haven't in actually years done this, but I want to be able to go back and watch the old movies. And because they're cute and they have a John Williams score that's very inspiring, and the kids are all running around being spunky and casting magical spells and stuff. And then now it's like you also kind of want to support the the Latin actress who's playing Hermione. This girl, good for you. You get to be Hermione. And Papa Essiedu, good for you, advocating for trans rights and being in this movie that otherwise is completely white, as far as I can tell.
Oh my God. Wow. It's so weird. It's so weird to in 2026 be having this conversation. Like it feels so retro. Like it feels aughts to me to have a conversation about like, hey, it's not only white people who exist. Maybe we should have other people be on TV. Oh, it's hey, it's not just straight people who exist. Like maybe some gay people could play the gay people that you're casting or that you're like portraying in film. Like these kinds of things that's been happening for the last 20 plus years. And now we're still having the conversation back to the drawing board of like, wow, look at us. We have not only white people in this, but now we have representation, but they're also the characters who are marginalized and like already sort of subtly racialized in the context of the story. Okay. I guess that's what we're doing. So
It's
retro.
it I mean, the stories are from then, is the other thing about
That's
it.
true.
So it's interesting. You had asked me, we were chatting, and you had asked me what I thought about the human design concept of the new paradigm that's supposed to come out in 2027.
Yeah.
And I
Can we
was sort of,
pause for 1 second and talk about what that is? Like,
yeah,
I don't even totally understand what it is, but I hear it. It's a thing that spiritually adjacent people will talk about, especially Jenna Zoe from, I think it's the Align app, and she does a bunch of stuff with human design, but talking about, I think it's an astrological shift slash an era, and we're supposed to be moving basically from being concerned with the daily trappings of physical life to being more spiritually connected and stuff like that. There's a lot to it more than that, but what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So when we were first talking about it, that just feels like none of our business. It just feels like this extra thing that doesn't really matter. But I was listening to this other thing about it the other day and kind of accidentally. And so the concept is in 1781, Uranus was discovered. And at that point, humans, this is why in human design, there are more energy centers than in the original chakra system. So the concept is that humans developed a different way of having energy and that it was much more forward focused. We have eyes in the front of our head. It was very goal setting, we're going to create these structures, we're going to set goals, we're going to be, I don't know, like racing for even consumption, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we've been in that stage. And then the concept is that in 2027, we'll inherit 2 more chakra centers and they're supposed to be in our hands. And I think that is for people. I'm not totally clear about this, but I think that the concept is that's for people born after that time. It's not that you and I will gain new chakras necessarily. Although the concept is about like how the energy of the planets work together. And so it could impact everybody in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is like, we can't know the ways that it's going to impact people because we haven't experienced it yet, right? But there are different dynamics that are like the idea is that they're going to happen. And then we go from this collective way of thinking that is very forward focused, building societies, building industry, consumerism, all of this goal oriented consumption to individual focus. And to me, the concept of individual focus sounds selfish when you first hear it, but I think the idea of it is more like I was watching something that was talking about how witchcraft is about creating your energetic space and imagining your personal life and not trying to make that go into other people's energy or other people's space, but drawing them to you when it's right for you so that they can absorb some of it that's right for them. And so I think that's more of the concept of the individual, but part of that concept is that we're at the last stages of this major cycle of humanity. And so we're having all this extinction burst of all these terrible collective concepts, which feels very true for me. I don't
Yes.
know about the rest of it, but like what you're saying about it's not just odds, it's like civil rights when people were trying to vote and getting attacked in the street for voting. It's
Well,
like
and we are just now seeing the last parts of the Voting
Voting Rights
Rights
Act.
Act be
Yeah.
completely stripped out. The Supreme Court's been doing that for years now, but it's like some of the biggest parts of it have been totally abolished. So basically it doesn't even exist anymore. But so yeah, that it does make sense. And we're like basically in a world of the white narcissism of it all, the like
Yeah.
the Jews will not replace us shit. It is happening again. All
Yeah.
of the Seven Mountains dominionism with the Christian nationalists and all of that stuff. Like, let's make God, let's have a theocracy, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a new Dark Ages. It actually feels like that is what happens, and that we're one like replaying history, but also I hope it's an extinction burst. That would be the best possible scenario.
Yeah.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
And J.K. Rowling is part of that extinction burst as far as I'm concerned.
Goodbye, JK.
I would love to still love the Harry Potters, but the stuff that has happened. Okay. So let's talk about the trans rights component
Yeah.
of this situation. So I talked about a little bit of J.K. Rowling's background of conflicted gender experience.
Which, let's just pause for 1 second and say that could engender empathy in a person
Yes.
or not, or something else. Go on.
Or it could be a justification that they use to put other people in danger.
Yeah, I think it's cute. This is actually just a classic white lady move, which is let's uphold the patriarchy and all of the systems of oppression because we do benefit from them, at least marginally. So we're gonna keep it going. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
And I'm like intentionally misgendering J.K. Rowling, but also I feel like some people say that they don't have pronouns and that cis women get to decide other people's pronouns. And I feel like they should be open to that.
All you're doing is using your inherent power as a cisgendered woman to name JK's pronouns. I do think that's literally what he, she, they have been saying, right?
Yeah.
Hey, way to follow directions.
I think so. Okay. I bet you remember this, but do you remember in 2023? So I'm not going to go through the whole history of J.K. Rowling's really odd relationship with transphobia. And I will say he's so defensive about it in this like really strange way. And some of it, so he says he was sexually assaulted in a private space by it sounded like a stranger. And so has used that to say that if we allow trans women to say that they are women and use women's bathrooms, that that men will say that they're women to go rape women in women's bathrooms. And
a classic idea. People love that one.
Yeah, she's a big proponent of that idea. Like, to me, I'm just like, is calling them men preventing that? What?
Who's policing bathrooms like this? Oh, and that a man is gonna go so far as to dress up like a woman. It's not like you go to a public place and if a man walks into the women's bathroom at Target, somebody comes and arrests them. It's like it can happen. I've used the men's restroom before at a sporting event because I didn't want to wait in line for an hour. I don't know.
It's not preventative.
It's just not a real thing. It's just a total let's waste our time on this stupid argument when it doesn't mean it's not a thing. That's not a thing.
And to put people in danger, I think, is ultimately the result because actual trans women are in danger in the men's bathroom. And that's why they want to use the women's bathroom, because they present as women.
Yes, totally.
A rapist cis man doesn't need to transition to go into the women's bathroom and rape somebody.
No, that's just too much planning and attention to detail for someone to do. Most people, when we say the word rapist, it's not the same as being like an artist. It's not like a craft. Maybe it is. Some people might be like that.
Your
but
supply.
Like some people, Bill Cosby. Okay, like some people do have a whole kit for it. But like most people, I'd say it's an opportunistic thing. Like it's not
in a bathroom. If it's a family member, if it's a friend, that's where you get more into the creative arts, I think.
Yeah, and that's also where you mostly see it happening too. So I think the other big part is like we have a lot of cultural fear about less common things because it's like safer to be afraid of those things than it is to actually recognize what's really happening in your own life and home and church, by the way, especially. Don't take your kids to church. That's why we don't take our kids to church.
It's why you don't get married. It's why you don't take your kids to church. Top places where don't take your kids to a Republican convention. I'm just trying to name the top places where you might be in danger of rape.
Stay away from
Bathrooms.
those locations. Yeah.
Bathrooms, less.
Yeah,
like,
bathrooms are just a place in every location. It's a facility.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay. So there's this long history of all this comments like this and trying to get this law or getting this law passed in the UK that says the word woman means assigned sex at birth. And part of that was to exclude trans women from domestic violence services and things like that. Okay.
I just hate the like need to punish people who are already experiencing oppression and marginalization every day. Like it's unbelievable to me. The urge to go like, also let's torture you and punish you and put you in more danger, that it makes no sense. And under the guise of keeping cisgendered women safe, please.
How does that help cisgendered women at all? Hurting somebody else doesn't help the person you care about.
No.
Also, there's a lot of language that is used in the J.K. Rowling anti-trans kind of zeitgeist that is, there's this, the floodgates are open and everyone's transitioning their gender. Trans people are like 1% of the population. It is not, no one is, I'm not doing anything this weekend, so I guess I'll transition my gender.
No.
What?
All of the people I know who are trans are literally
are trans.
Who they are. Like they're the person they are, and they're like, oh, this is who I am. I'm gonna dress this way. I'm gonna get top surgery. I'm gonna and it's not casual. It's a thing that happens over a long period of time where they're integrating more and more of who they are and reflecting that externally over time.
And
what in the world?
It is much, much more common for cisgendered people to get gender affirming surgery than it is for trans people to get gender affirming surgery.
Which is another thing that I think is really wild in this conversation. People all the time are born intersex, which means a lot of things. There are dozens of variations, total categories of these different variations of genitalia, of chromosome makeup, of like all kinds of things that don't match what we think a lady is or a man is. It is so much more complex than that, and we do not allow or leave room for that in the conversation because we're overcomplicating biology. Give me a break. Biology isn't on a binary. It just is not. It's absolutely is not.
There are at least 16 genders is what I've read, like at least. It's so ridiculous. Right. Okay. I'm so glad that you said that because the next thing that you all remember is, do you remember Iman Khalif, the boxer in the Olympics, who everybody freaked out and was like, this man is in the Olympics? This woman in the Olympics who won gold, and everybody was like, not everybody, but J.K. Rowling and Elon Musk were like, this man is punching women in the Olympics. Do you remember this thing?
I do vaguely remember it, yes. And
so J.K. Rowling was this big proponent of that, and then the Russian Boxing Federation got into it and they were like, oh, Iman Khalif failed some unclear test, but they were basically like, she looks too masculine is the idea, but they were like saying that she had XY chromosomes, which there's no evidence. She was raised as a girl. She's just good at boxing.
I honestly, it's really hard for me to not just think, are you just trying to look at people's genitals? Is this what are you doing? What is this? It's so weird to me. It doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, guys.
That goes into mold theory. So it was 2023 when Iman Khalif won the gold. And then J.K. Rowling, Elon Musk started this whole bullying campaign of her. And then
what great company to keep. I'm sorry, if you're ever doing the same thing as Elon Musk, like you should really be looking at yourself and your life and decide how you want to show up. Are you okay?
Another person who has used extensive gender affirming care also.
Oh God. Yeah, like what? How? I'm sorry. Gender affirming care HRT, like hormone replacement therapy. You go get a testosterone shot. That's gender affirming care. And it's the same if you're a woman and you get on some. I'm on gender affirming care right now because I have an IUD that has hormones in it. And now I don't have a really painful period. So that's actually affirming my gender in that I get to live my life in a body that has a uterus and ovaries and I'm not suffering all the time. Like, what in the. Okay. Go on. I'm just sorry. I really do feel like I have several ethical shit talk episodes about Elon Musk in my heart, but I'm not going to do it right now because we're on JK right now. But still, like, let's put a pin in that because Elon. God.
I mean, I don't even know if we should acknowledge his existence, though.
So we'll only do ethical shit talk about women or people who were assigned female at birth. In the case
or
of JK, which we're not sure what's going on.
People who are really just struggling with their gender and sexuality. JK. Okay. Around that time, this profile picture was up. And if you look in the background, you can see that there's mold just all over her walls.
Oh my God.
She was the first. She was the first billionaire author, and she owns this castle in Scotland. But, like, you know, castles in Scotland aren't necessarily the most mold-free spaces. So I feel like you need to look at this picture and tell me if that looks like mold to you, because it looks like black mold to me.
It definitely looks like mold. And having grown up in a house that had mold walls in my bedroom forever, I know exactly what it looks like. And this is, unless she has just the ugliest wallpaper of all time.
It's not consistent enough to be wallpaper, right?
No, it'd have to be like, would you paint that on? What is okay. Mold
and
mort.
It's a profile picture. You don't necessarily choose the moldiest room in your house for your profile picture. So is the rest of her house more moldy than that?
I hope not. How is she still alive?
I know. So people at this point, there was this whole theory that developed online that she's having black mold poisoning and that the decline of her mental health around transphobia is about black mold poisoning. So,
oh my God. Was she getting into the moldy bread? Like what is that?
What is it?
Ergot. It's a type of mold and it's found in bread and it can cause hallucinations and convulsions and other things that are related to some of the phenomena that were happening during the Salem witch trials that were like freaking people out. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Helen's on point.
Yeah. Go on, toxic mold. We love our toxic molds over here. Sometimes we know the name of them, even though it's not EGOTing. That's just getting all of the major awards as an actor. Ergot. Totally different.
There may be some kind of crossover there, though. It's
if
hard
you're a
to
really
tell
good actor,
days.
it's like you're giving us all hallucinations in some ways.
And the elite billionaires apparently have all these secret societies now that we didn't know about before. So
True. And like breeding themselves. It's another thing I just really. Who cares about Elon Musk alone? Let's have a whole episode about billionaires breeding women. Having millions of babies. It's so gross. Okay, sorry.
It sounds scary too.
I don't like all of this. Yeah.
Okay, so in 2024, Iman Khalif sued J.K. Rowling and Elon Musk in France for cyberbullying because she was experiencing death threats about stuff that they would say. Not the only person that has experienced death threat, around the trans issue, experienced death threats because of shit J.K. Rowling has said.
JK, how do you live your life acting like that? How do you go about your business being like, people are just getting death threats because I have terrible opinions? What in the world is that? How do you do that?
She does it out of, or he, sorry, I don't know what gender we're doing now, but it out of total defensiveness. Just sees himself as a complete victim of every women as a victim, cis women specifically, not.
Of course. No, we're trans exclusionary radical feminists when we're talking about
Well,
this. Yeah.
that's what he says is, but people have called me a TERF. That's mean too.
But you are that though.
Yeah.
That's actually the difference here, is that you are that. That is what you're talking about. That is what you're saying.
She's like, I've never been called a radical feminist until I started talking about women's rights around trans issues.
That's the part that's offensive to her too. She's like, I'm not a fucking feminist. I'm just anti-trans. Y'all, I had to take my glasses off. I was laughing that hard. It was like I was having tears were squirting out of my eyes. It's so crazy to me. Okay.
So she's gotten into it with Chris Columbus, with Emma Watson, like all of the actors of the original films. I think, as far as I know, have come out being like, it's not okay that she's putting trans people in danger. She's made all these statements about how there are no trans kids and parents are forcing kids to have transition, and that these kids are just afraid of bullying, so they want to transition their genders and get out of it doesn't, honestly, it doesn't make any sense to me, the justification for and that the parents are like forcing surgery on children.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. So, for those of y'alls who maybe aren't like, yay, trans rights, like you might not be, and that's maybe you don't know yet. But here's the thing. Be curious. Like, I have a cousin, and she was actually on my last podcast at least once, maybe a couple times, where because my cousin's child is trans and has been assigned a gender at birth and then raised a different gender when at a young age this child said, I'm a girl. 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 And since they were like 3, 4 years old, because little kids actually do know who they are. And I just think that's fine. And this child is happy and well adjusted and completely fine and stealth. And that is great. But like, I didn't understand it at first. So I went and looked up information about what's the deal with little kids who are trans. Is this the parents being weird, trying to force their kid to be, I don't know, progressive? What is this? And it's not that. It's led by the child. And I think that part of what's happening, why this is like seeming like it's so much more present than it used to be, is more about parents actually listening to their kids than it is anything else. Because when we were kids in the 80s, we were raised in like authoritarian families in some ways, right? Like for sure, for me, evangelical Christianity, very authoritarian, like your obedience is the thing. So it doesn't matter who you think you are. You just need to be quiet over there. And like when you grow up, you can figure it out. But it's different when you raise your kid and recognize them as a unique sovereign individual from the time they're born. And then you're like, oh, okay, I believe you about who you say you are. That's fine.
I think the other thing is that, honestly, I think feminism has made strides, and it is less like the power dynamic is much less polarized than it used to be. It's still bad, but when we're thinking about like there were those commercials for years that were like throw like a girl, showing girls being these amazing athletes.
Yeah.
When we grew up, throw like a girl was an insult. Like
Totally.
I remember like, oh, you're just not good at sports. Oh, you just don't, like, very gender imposed expectations on me. And I think that we've done so much cultural work to question that and to say it's okay to be a girl. It's okay to be a boy. It's okay to be anything within any of that spectrum or outside of that spectrum.
Right.
No, like it's okay for you to be you, and it's more important for you to be you than it is for you to conform and try to assert power. And I think a lot of what J.K. Rowling's talking about is like some kind of idea that if we stick to gender essentialism, women can one up the power over men or something. I don't know. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it seems like it's about the assumption that women are the downtrodden, helpless ones. We need to accept that about ourselves, and it's because of vulvas or uteruses or vagina, some kind of body part creates that.
Not a cultural dynamic. Again, we're not sure how feminist this person is, so I guess that makes sense. Okay. Cool.
It's hard to tell, honestly.
So weird.
One of the things she posted was basically that Donald Trump became president because liberals have supported trans people.
Oh, a lot of people said that. A lot because identity politics. It's because of identity politics.
I always took identity politics to mean anti-racism.
It's
so
that and trans and gay
Yeah.
and white and anyone that is like, I'm in this group and therefore my politics are aligned with this group. I think it's more.
Yeah. But I think trans terror is a central component of that.
Yeah, because it's about oppressing the out group. The in group is cis white people, and the out group is everyone else. That's how fascism works. It's like you have a group that is in and for whom the power structure is enforced, and then you have everyone else who's
and like cis white billionaires is kind of how it's meant to me.
Well, they're the ones who have actually the proximity to power. They're all at the fucking inauguration and stuff. They're all hanging out all the time, even though they're all the worst. Can you imagine if your friend group, the peers in your life were like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff
Elon
Bezos
Musk?
and Elon Musk, and you're like, these are the dudes I hang out with? What the? Oh my God. That is so embarrassing. It's just such embarrassing friends. It's so embarrassing, guys.
And you find yourself on an app saying things and having people be like, I'm going to sue you and Elon Musk together because you said the same shit.
Yeah, that's bad. That's a low point in your life. Again, really question where you're at if you're included in a lawsuit with Elon Musk.
It's interesting because what J.K. Rowling said about Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson and the other actors coming out and supporting trans people and saying it's not acceptable. It's interesting because they all want to be respectful of her. She changed their lives.
Yeah.
They're like, she was a mentor to me when I was a kid. I love her as a person. And also, I don't agree with what she's saying about this. I think it's unsafe and I support trans people. And then she comes back at them and says, this is just an idiot kid who doesn't know what they're talking about, who doesn't have life experience. And when they get more life, when they grow up, they'll understand what I mean. And what I take from the understand where I'm coming from is understand that there is a war between women and men, and that men are the predator, and we have to protect ourselves against that.
Yeah.
Which men commit 90%, cis men commit 90% of crimes. So I'm not saying there's no evidence that cis men are predatory, but I also think it's such a reductive way of thinking about all of it.
Well, yeah, I think it's an attempt to keep the world simple so that you can handle it. It's very fundamentalist. It's so not nuanced. There's no room for anything. There's no room for other facts. Yeah, the majority of people who are perpetrating violent crimes are cisgendered men. But like per capita, the people who are most often victims of murder and other violent crimes like that are Black trans women.
Yes.
Okay, that's also a fact. How do we want to reconcile these facts, or do we just want to ignore some of the facts so that we don't have to contend with them, and instead we can be reductionist and be like, women are always victims and men are always perpetrators, and also that's based on whatever genitalia you have. Show me what it is so I can judge you.
Right. So I can decide whether you're a victim or a perpetrator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's depressing. That's super depressing. Oh my God.
It's a bummer. It's a bummer. So I think one of the things that I'm thinking about with the upcoming Harry Potter release is the power of music. Well, a lot of music. Music is a really powerful part of that. And I think when we watch TV, when we hear stories, the music that's associated with it is so persuasive to compel us to think that whatever message is in the story is a message that we should also adhere to. Do you know what I mean?
Look, as a former worship leader, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, because that was every church service I've ever made is built around the emotional manipulation arc of the music plan. That's what it is. So yeah, it makes perfect sense because that's what humans are like. That is magic. That actually it is the magic. A lot of the times is the music.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that music's so associated with our upper energy centers, with our crown, ajna, throat. I think they're even heart, but I think mostly the crown, ajna, throat as an entry point of. But then the way that you know if a message is not correct for you is the material way it lands in your body and the external results of it. That's sort of I think if I picture myself watching the Snape scene where Harry Potter's dad is bullying him, I feel absolutely not good about even thinking about that scene. That is a part of American history and American present day that I find to be loathsome and revolting.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to be on my television screen as this character that we're supposed to see as the loving father character perpetrating white supremacy crimes against a black kid.
Yeah, it is very disturbing. Very disturbing because that person is at least the progenitor of the protagonist. That is, and with it not being treated with any kind of nuance or even acknowledgement of that dynamic is a part of what makes it so uncomfortable too, I think. It would
Yeah.
be maybe different if it was like, let's cast this as a moral tale, or like somehow bring attention to that or like drawing the comparison, but it's
There
not.
is I don't know if what they're gonna do about it. In the book, his dad is set up as this bastion of strength and courage that's a role model for him, like natural genius, and he died before Harry Potter's born at the hands of the evil wizard Voldemort. And then in the scene, he's not painted well anyway. Even if you take out the race component, Harry Potter has to see him as a bully to come to terms with the darker side of his lineage and that his dad was privileged and was a bully to this kid who didn't deserve it, right? Adding race onto that, though, is a whole different layer for me. It already was not okay. And some of the memes people are making are showing the actor Papa Essiadu, and he's in his Snape outfit with a cool, I think it's a leather cape but I don't know, it looks cool. And he pulls out his wand out of the side and it becomes a gun and he starts shooting and it has this very, it just has a very racialized.
Yeah. Is he
Not
holding the
good.
gun like this sideways? You know, they do it like
He is. He is, though, in it. You already knew what it would be.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
you've
so
seen that connection
predictable.
before.
It's
Yeah.
almost like people are racist and we see it all the time.
It's like to be a thing.
Wow. All right, JK. I wish JK were just JK.
I know.
Alas.
I wish it were funnier. But
It would
it's
be
like
better.
also with all this classic discrimination, when you say it's JK, you better make it funny.
Make it funny or go home. I am a trans exclusionary, radical feminist, exclusionary feminist. A turfif.
The truth.
I'm a turfif.
It's a thing. Look it up, you guys.
I'm gonna make the website for turfif.com right now so that everyone can go there and learn how to do it.
It's gonna be a hit.
We really got a good name going. I think it's gonna catch on.
If you could add a song to it, I think people are really gonna like it.
I'm gonna take people on a journey with the music.
Yeah.
We'll just a conversion experience is entailed. It's gonna be good. Thank you. I see that hand. Thank you. I see that hand. Oh my god. Well,
That's the shit I got to talk about.
thank you
J.K. Rowling
for bringing me this beautiful basket of ethical shit talk. I have really enjoyed digging into it. It's been a smorgasbord of horrors and delights. So, frankly, this is exciting. This is a weird person in the world and sad. And also really sad that it's not weirder because it's so basic.
The other thing is that she's gotten more and more Karen looking, like classic Karen looking. And some of her gender affirming care has just been so on point to the Karen look.
Oh my god.
People make all
Yeah.
kinds of choices with their lives.
They sure do. They sure do. Some people are like, I'd like to be more like a Karen. Please Karenify me. And
Yeah.
other people are doing something else. And that's all
Other
great.
people are winning gold medals in boxing at the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And being whatever gender they are, doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Look, support your trans friends, support your friends who are having racism enacted against them. We are all here on this planet together trying to bump into each other and figure out how to live our lives. But
Yeah, and some doing it better than others, and some really making choices.
making some choices that will engender some ethical shit talk about you.
Yeah.
Meredith, what if people wanted to, I don't know, figure out how to ethically shit talk themselves when they looking at their own natal chart?
Or and they want to find out about their human design energy centers and how the collective energy applies to that. They can go to fourthcupastrology.com and sign up for a natal chart reading, or they can, if they have been discouraged about witchcraft by having this big name in magic turn real, for lack of a better word, evil. I have a quiz on my website that's called Unblock Your Magic, and you can go and kind of dig into the questions there to see where you might have magical blocks. I think if we set somebody up as a pillar of any spiritual concept, they tend to turn out like this. So I think J.K. Rowling's not alone in being the icon around an inspired idea and then turning real bad. Like, that's all around. I think witchcraft's not exempt from abuses in that way.
Very true.
Sarai, if people want to know how to embrace their entire sexual self, whatever gender they are, whatever sexuality they are, not excluding trans people, but excluding TERFs,
Yes.
how can they contact you?
Well, if you're not a TERF, you should go to my website, saraijohnson.com. I mean, and if you are, we should talk. Maybe you'll learn how to not be so mean. But if you're looking at wanting to understand your sexual self more, including your own gender, including what your sexuality is and like how you prefer to be in relationships, then yeah, go to my website and there's a quiz there for you to identify how your sovereign power is working for you. And you can also download my free podcast mini series called Your Own Divinity to learn about just how truly incredibly connected to source and magic you already are. Yay. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Rock and roll, everybody.